Okay, so thank you everybody for listening to the Meaningless podcast because sometimes memes are meaningless. I have a special guest today. Our special guest is Duke Doggo. Duke, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, how's it going?
That's it. You don't want to explain who you are, or...
That was a
I
greeting,
don't need.
not an
No, it's fine.
introduction.
Yes. Hi, my name is Duke. I've been in the fandom for I think 4 years now, and the end.
Yes,
That's it.
and by fandom we are referring to the furry fandom, which should be pretty clear in the title of this episode. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to title it, but it will be very obvious that it does have to do with the furry community. So, Duke, I am going to send you, and if there are, for listeners, if there are any sort of sound quality issues, I apologize for that in advance. We are doing a phone call rather than everything in person right now, but we absolutely had to have a special guest here today. So we are going to be covering a certain meme, which I am going to send you right now. And I kind of want you to read what the meme says and kind of explain to me what the photograph shows.
Sure. Roses are red. Bananas get peeled. Councilman resigns after secret furry life revealed.
All right. Yeah. And then in the picture... you've got kind of an older looking gentleman who is in a suit and a regular suit, not a fursuit, but he is pictured at a furry parade. So this is a headline. The headline comes from a news agency. We'll get to the source of the headline in a minute, but I just kind of want to go over first who this councilman is. So his name is Scott Chamberlain. In 2015, he became a councilman of a small town called Milford. That's in Litchfield County, Connecticut. It's part of the metropolitan area of Danbury, but it is a town in its own right. So he was a really small time politician, but councilmen, it doesn't mean that they don't have an important job. They do have a job in legislation, approving spending, voting on issues regarding the town or city that they represent. This was still Chamberlain's position in 2017 when this headline was posted, when the news article was posted, I should say. It was posted on September 8th, 2017. And Chamberlain was still a councilman at that time. Now, clarification, he's not a Chamberlain. That's just his name. He's a councilman. Just in case there's any confusion, okay? He's not a British treasurer. He's an American councilman, just to clarify. For anybody who's confusing the title Chamberlain with the name Chamberlain. So, regarding this meme, what's true is that he did in fact resign. But the first inaccuracy I want to address is the photo itself. This picture shows Chamberlain in a suit looking like he's taking a selfie during a furry parade. This is not actually a picture of him at a furry parade. The photo of him was actually taken from Facebook, and he was photoshopped into this location.
Yes, by the looks of it, because I'm doing a bit of digging myself. Because, like I said, I don't know too much about this topic because I'm not a scientist, but I am a green dog on the internet. So, looking this up, the whatever news source reported this and used this as their headline just took a random photo of what looks like a fursuit parade and just pasted a photo of the councilman over top of it.
That is
because this is not his suit.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, that is exactly what happened. So essentially, he was photoshopped into this photo, and it was used by this news publication for their picture in their headline, and subsequently it became part of the meme. I'll show you the photo that this was actually taken from. So this, as you've already figured out, which I don't know if you already see the original photo of Councilman Chamberlain, but I'll send it to you just in case. So this photo comes from Facebook.
Okay.
So this was actually taken in 2015, right after he became a councilman. And he is standing in what looks like maybe like a meeting room or some kind of office. So typical political photo. He's pictured here. We'll look at the full version later. But in this photo, he's right next to who had just become the new mayor. And he is just sort of taking basically a political promotion photo together with the mayor.
You can't see it, but the mayor's in a furry suit.
The mayor's not in a fursuit. We'll look at the full version later.
He absolutely is. He has the neck of the head just tucked underneath his suit jacket. That's why you can't see it.
He's in a mayor fursuit. He's in a mayoral fursuit. A traditional mayoral fursuit.
Can you say mayoral one more time?
Mayoral.
Thank you.
What is what?
It's just the way you said it. It just brought me so much joy.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that my weird pronunciations can bring you joy.
That's what we're here for. The joy.
So now, like moving on, I would like to address the headline. So the way the headline reads, now this is not the caption of the meme, but the way the headline reads, it says, Councilman resigning after secret furry life is revealed. So there are a couple of things wrong with this headline, and I would like, I feel like, so this was posted by the New York Post. It's an actual publication from them. So the New York Post is pretty highly respected in terms of a news source, but I do think they could have been more careful with choosing the wording of this headline. But before I get into the things that are factually dubious about the headline, I want to address what kind of impact a headline like this can have. So first, as a member of the furry community, I want to know, what impression do you get from a headline like this? So like, how do you feel when you read this?
I mean, to me, fursuiting and being in the furry fandom is pretty much on the same page or the same level as cosplay. You know, it's just a harmless hobby that you do in your free time. So, and I know a lot of people in the furry fandom who are in pretty good positions in terms of work or do really important things and still get the fursuit and be a furry and goof off and whatever. That's your own free time. So, reading this and hearing that he had to resign after people found out he was a furry, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the same thing that I got from this headline as well. Like, as if this hobby somehow disqualifies you from taking public office or even running for one. And like, there are probably members of the furry community who are highly qualified for an office like this and may not even want to run after seeing this type of headline. So it's upset. I mean, it's like, to me, it's upsetting. I feel like, I mean, that's it's frustrating, and I think that the more careful wording could have been chosen. So the suggestion here is that being a furry fan will disqualify you from holding public office. I think this is a problem because it would be discouraging for people from running for any office, because they will think that their furry interests will cause them to be kicked out of a job. It is definitely true that furry fandom is misunderstood, and people could easily be ostracized from certain groups because of this misunderstanding, but this article's headline, in my opinion, exacerbates that. But there is something a little more important here. He wasn't forced to resign just because he was a furry. I'll read a quote from the news source that first broke this. This is from the News Times. It's a local Connecticut newspaper. Quote, Town Council member Scott Chamberlain never made a secret of his deep involvement in furry fandom. So, it appears that his furry fanship was already public knowledge, meaning that his furry fandom was not why he resigned. but it obviously did come with some controversy as more people became aware of it. And that is likely because of the misunderstanding of what furry fandom actually is. To illustrate this, I'm going to quote the New York Post article which is the subject of our meme. Quote, "The outgoing first-term Democrat insists that his animal costume fetish has nothing to do with sex." I absolutely hate that they use the word fetish here, because there are so many, they could have said interest, his furry fandom interest. They didn't have to say fetish, because even though fetish can be used in a lot of different ways, there's that implication that the only reason why he's interested in the fursuit community is because of some sexual reasons. There is an assumption by many outside the furry community that anyone dressed in a furry costume only does so for sexual reasons, and that is definitely not true. So I'm going to read a quick quote from Lawrence Perry. He is the editor-in-chief of Flera, a furry news site, and he told the Huffington Post in 2014, quote, "In reality, furries are a fan of concept. What if intelligent animals lived among us or replaced us? From this, all else flows: arts, crafts, stories, role-playing, and costuming." So to put it simply, basically, the furry fandom is a fanship of anthropomorphic animals. And obviously, I don't see anything, like, even if like your interest in the furry fandom is purely sexual, even that's not a problem. That's not hurting anybody. Like, you're not, like, there's a huge difference, like, also between like zoophiles and people, who have a furry fetish. Like, there's a huge difference between those things as well, right?
What's a zoophile?
I feel like a lot of the time with the furry fandom, people think it's strictly sexual, and there is a sexual side to the furry fandom. It's very sex positive, I think is great. But being a furry in itself isn't inherently sexual, and there's always the assumption like, oh, do you have sex dressed as an animal, or do you have sex with animals? Blah blah blah. Some people do have sex in their fursuit. Some people don't. And a lot of the times you're not going to know who does and doesn't unless it's public knowledge. And then even with the people who are like, oh, you have sex with animals, a lot of the furry community uh, heavily disciplines those who are found to be in that interest, and they quite quickly and quite harshly get shunned out of the community, which rightfully so. If you ask a majority of people at FurCon, they're going to tell you that being a zoo is wrong. And a lot of the times, if you say you support zoos or you are a zoo or anything, you'll get blocked, and everyone will shame you for it, which I think is the right thing to do.
Absolutely. And so, like, for anybody who, and Bobby just said, what's a zoophile? So for anybody who is not sure what the difference in terminology is that say if you are interested in the furry fandom for sexual reasons, you are essentially, you're still fantasizing about other humanoids. They have animal characteristics. Whereas a zoophile is actually attracted to animals. And the difference here is that an intelligent animal-like being is a consenting being, whereas a wild animal or, a pet or something like that can't consent, and you're fucking an animal, like it's completely different. They're two different things. So, like, the idea that if you're a furry, you must want to have sex with animals, that's a big leap to make, in my opinion.
Yeah, in my time being in the fandom and just in general in life, I've never had the desire to see an animal and go smash. That's never been it. That's never been my thing. I joined the community because I'm very much a fan of cosplay, and all the craft and workmanship that goes into making a fursuit I think is beautiful. And to have a character that people seem to really like, and to be able to bring that character to life, I think it's really fun. I think it's really cool. And it's just another way to kind of express who you are, really. Kind of expand you're it's a way of bringing more of yourself out. Some people are very shy about being who they are, or about putting things out about themselves in terms of who they are and what they like and things like that. And I feel like by creating a character of someone that isn't you, but is the things you like, the things you represent, it helps you feel closer to who you are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like having a creative mirror almost. Like,
Exactly.
yeah, so it puts you in touch. Like you can look in a mirror and see what you physically look like, and you would never learn a lot about a person just by a picture of them. And if you were to create a character, it gives you time to like self reflect, and as you put this character together, you have a chance to sort of dig out who your inner being is. And I think that's one of the amazing things about the furry fandom. Like, full disclosure, I'm not a furry myself, and I don't really have much of a desire to have a fursona or anything like that. But I do regularly, anytime I go to a convention, anime conventions, gaming conventions, if there is a furry panel, I usually attend because I love the community. Because one, they're the sweetest and most accepting people on the planet. And two, they're so creative and so in touch with their own feelings, and the ability for them to communicate and be understanding of other people goes beyond what I think a lot of fandoms do. Because the furry like the whole furry community, to be a part of it, like, you can be anybody to be a part of it, but some of the people who are the foremost representatives of the furry community, these are people who have put a lot of work into their characters, their costumes, and it takes a lot of self-reflection in order to put that all together. And it's part of the reason why I love the community so much. Like, I want to kind of go back to something that you said earlier, and the fact that even though there is a sexual component to furry fandom or the furry community, it doesn't mean that everybody about it is sexual, or finds a sexual interest in the furry community. But what I would challenge other people who want to point that out, who want to isolate the sexual component of it and make a big deal out of it, what I want to challenge them to is tell me anything, any fanship, anything at all that doesn't have some sexual component to it. There,
Even cosplay. Like,
yeah,
it happens in any community involving creativity. There's someone or somewhere within that community, there's a group that has a sexual undertone to it. And it happens in cosplay, it happens in fursuiting, but it doesn't represent everyone. I know a lot of people in the fandom who are very much asexual. I know a lot of people who want to stay away from sex, whether it be work or fursuiting stuff or anything. So it doesn't represent the entire community. Just because some people do it, it doesn't mean everyone does it. And if they do, you're not going to know about it. And if doesn't matter that much to you, like, I guarantee you there's far worse stuff people could be doing behind closed doors.
yeah, absolutely. And and it doesn't, like, the thing is, it's every, like, it's literally everywhere, like, music, movies, TV shows, cosplaying, anime, comic books, everything. There's somebody somewhere has a sexual aspect to it. And if you have a convention with enough people, there's going to be an after dark or 18 plus thing that involves some acknowledgement of that sexual component. So to like target furries alone just based on that, it's asinine. Basically, some news segments found some pictures of people in fursuits humping each other, and all of a sudden it's this huge spectacle, and that's all anybody can focus on, when really there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah. People, I don't think people really focus on all the good that the furry community does.
Yeah.
Like every single con I go to, for those of you who have never been to a fur con, and I guess some cons do this in general too, a lot of the times conventions will have a charity that to sponsor, and they will don't be collecting donations for said charities. Now, if we're talking specifically at fur cons, all of the ones I've been to, they usually have a art auction, which can have artwork, it can have furry memorabilia, it can have fursuit supplies, etc. And all of these things get auctioned off, and it goes to charity. Now, when I went to a convention, I believe it was last year, called Confuzzled in the UK, they had a charity that was for bee conservation, save the bees. And if you chose a certain sponsor level, some of the stuff you'd get in your goodies was like wild seeds that bees really like, and a bunch of stuff like that. And they had an art auction to raise money for this charity, and they raised £30,000 for this charity, and I think it's so commendable. I mean, there's even a FurCon in Philly that is sponsored by the city, and people really love it every year. Like, the furry community does way more good than the people who try to complain or yell at the people for enjoying the community.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like that, that's one of the things that drives me nuts, and why I started this podcast is because the understanding of outsiders of the furry community is such a surface level thing. They saw an image and then they kind of threw a fit, and that's the whole point of Meaningless. The reason why I started Meaningless, this podcast, to sort of show that there's so much more than the surface level understanding of it. And like you said, they raised £30,000, which I think was that like $42,000 or something like that. It's crazy. It's awesome. And you mentioned bees. Brandy and I love bees. We think they're the cutest things in the world, and we actually
cool.
bought wild seeds that are specifically made for bees to put in our front yard. So
Bees are neat.
yeah, they are, and they're a very important part of the ecosystem too. And that's another thing. Like the surface level thing is, oh, it's a bee, it stings, it's bad. No, they're great things. I love bees. Plus, they're adorable when you see them up close. But anyway, all that being said, yeah, no, I think, well, one thing that I do want to say before I move on with the rest of my script is that, I think part of the reason why the furry fandom, and this goes in two different directions, part of the reason why the furry fandom does so much good, and especially for like mental health causes and things like that, is because being a member of the furry fandom, first, like the most obvious or the most, I don't want to say obvious, but more the most noticeable reason why somebody in the furry fandom would want to promote a world of acceptance is because of how ostracized people are just for being a part of that community, but also people who have found themselves ostracized or found themselves in difficult social situations end up becoming a part of the community because they're they find fellowship in it, so
the
like,
amount of times, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
to
go.
go off that, the amount of times people who are leaving hate comments about how much they hate the community, but which, by the way, if you plan on bullying a furry, good luck, because we've heard it all, and to the point where it means
Yeah.
nothing. KYS, fatherless, hunting season, blah blah blah. We've heard it all. The only thing that can hurt a furry is if you call them stinky. But with a lot of the times in the furry community, it's those people who are saying all these hate comments who maybe a year or two later all of a sudden have a Sona, are trying to go to cons.
Yep.
But also you claim to hate the community and you think it's so disgusting or it's so cringe, and you're right. But if you hate it so much, you're spending all your time, you're making a hate page dedicated to us, you're screenshotting our post, you're responding to everything, you're constantly in contact with this thing you claim to hate, and all your algorithm is going to be is the content. So thank you for the endorsement, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and there was a podcast called, and I sent you the podcast, but I don't know if you had a chance to listen to it. But the worst year ever went to for the FurCon in Chicago, and was it what's the name of that FurCon? I can't remember.
Midwest Fur Fest.
Midwest Fur Fest. Thank you. They went to Midwest Fur Fest, and they did it's like a 3 or 4 part podcast on it. And one of the subjects of what they're addressing is a person who has been harassing members of the furry community and has been like this outspoken, oh, I can't believe how terrible furries are type of person, making fun of furries all the time. Well, when they went into and they found like some of his social media, there are countless likes and interactions with furry posts that are just like, furry art and fur and fur suits and things like that. Like he clearly is interested and wants to be a part of the community and is so outspoken against it. It's almost like how some politicians who are extremely anti-gay, or some public figures who are extremely anti-gay, turn out that they've been in the closet the whole time. It's like,
absolutely.
They're so afraid to be a part of it, and
though? I think it's people who are scared because
Yeah.
when the furry community became a thing, everyone trashed on it and, oh, that's so cringe and what is going on and blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of people have that desire to want to do this thing, but because the furry fandom has created I don't even want to say created, because it's gathered such an unnecessary amount of hate, people want to avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
And when people have the desire, they think, oh, well, having a fursuit might be really fun. Or, they start thinking, oh, if I could be a character, I'd probably be a dragon or whatever. And they start thinking, oh God, I'm becoming a furry, or I think have this interest. They start to make themselves hate. They want to put on the idea that they want to project to others that they hate this thing, when in actuality they have this desire to be part of it. They have this want to be in this realm and discover and try these things, but they're too scared to admit it because they're scared of backlash and they're scared of being judged for it.
Yeah, and that comes that it's like some sort of really sad feedback loop where they have heard all this negativity about a thing that they have actually been intrigued by, and so then they spout out all this hatred toward it and they feed into this loop, and really deep down they're as intrigued or interested as anybody else would be.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just had a stroke. You can keep going.
Oh, okay. All right. Just I hope you get over your stroke. I really hope you're.
No.
Yeah. I hope you'll be all right.
Maybe.
Well, let me know when your stroke's over, and we'll continue. Actually, I'm going to continue anyway.
That's so considerate. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Deal with
it. Keep going. Shut up.
All that being said, Chamberlain himself kind of explained away the whole idea that his interest in the furry fandom was sexual in nature, which again, I don't think there would be anything wrong if he was, but he explained it away. He said it in this way. He said that his participation in the furry fandom is mostly about appreciating animal characters with human behaviors and features such as Tony the Tiger and Mickey Mouse. And
Mickey Mouse? Hold on. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse.
Go on.
Okay, I'm not surprised by anything in the fandom because the amount of porn that's popped up of Tony the Tiger and characters like that. Part of me wants to chastise it, but maybe I've lived a bad life. I get it. That I'm here for. But Mickey Mouse
Whoa, did I lose you?
That's not sexy. Not
Yeah.
once. No?
No. He was saying
What's the last thing I said?
So you said Mickey Mouse is not sexy.
No, he's not.
So well,
No.
like so that's I mean, that was the point. That's the same point that Chamberlain was making, was that Mickey Mouse is an anthropomorphic animal, and enjoying Mickey Mouse related things doesn't make it a sexual thing. And that's what he's saying, that his interest in the furry fandom is also similar. Like as to people liking Mickey Mouse, that kind of thing. That's what he's saying his interest in the furry fandom
thank
is.
God. I was like, if someone's saying Mickey Mouse is sexy,
No.
I will hang up right now.
No.
Well,
Okay.
you know somebody out there is, though.
Well, somebody out there does find Mickey Mouse sexy. There's somebody.
I will hang up. I don't want to talk about sexy
There's somebody.
Mickey.
There's somebody out there literally fucking a Mickey Mouse blow up doll right now, and you just have to live with that.
You're probably dressed as Minnie.
I'm happy for him. I really am. But listen, I'm a furry. I'm willing to kink shame that.
Oh
No.
my! Kink shaming is my kink shame. I remember when that meme was going around.
I love that one.
But there is something more here, though. Something I may not have mentioned. So notice earlier that I said that his furry fandom had... I didn't say that his furry fandom had nothing to do with his resignation. I just said that it was unlikely to be the sole reason he resigned. Can you possibly maybe guess for me a line that he maybe or may not have crossed that led to his ouster?
Please tell me it's not. Please tell me it doesn't involve animals.
No, it's not. It's not zoophile related or anything like that.
Well, let's see. He wasn't forced to resign, but he was prompted to. Oh, okay. Well, I forgot I was kind of like doing a little digging as to who he was.
You're not
before,
supposed to do that. But yeah,
I
go.
know.
That's fine. That's fine.
I'm a rebel. I've always been a rebel, and I have an idea of what it is, but I'm not going to say. So I'm going to let you tell the story since I only read part of a headline.
Okay. So, and this did make some headlines. So you probably did stumble across this. So in the original article from News Times, first off, can I say how lame the name of that paper is? News Times. It sounds like a child came up with it. Like seriously, it's like,
Maybe one did.
There's lots of newspapers. What should we call ours? Oh, should have news in the title, I guess. Well, I mean, we can't just say Connecticut News. That would be boring, and also it's already taken. Well, a lot of other, there's the New York Times, the Boston Times. Let's just call it the News Times. Perfect. All right. Well, it sounds like 4-year-olds. Anyway, in my opinion, it's a stupid fucking name for the newspaper.
Doesn't matter.
Not that there's I know.
No one's bothering you.
I just want to point it out.
Not the reason why he resigned. It's the newspaper title. That's the bigger problem.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Fuck the whole subject of this podcast. Let's move on to the title of News Times.
We're going to spend the next 45 minutes talking about this title and why it's... Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for listening to Everything That's Wrong with News Times. The title of their stupid paper. No. There's nothing wrong with the paper that I can find. I read a few other articles from it just to see like where the biases are and stuff. And it doesn't strike me as anything that's like overly liberal or overly conservative or like racist or prejudiced in any way. It seems like a pretty reputable news source. I couldn't find anything that would cause any concern about it. I just wanted to make fun of the name of the paper. But I will read a quote from the News Times. Quote, "An uproar ensued when a town resident posted on a community Facebook page several screenshots of Chamberlain's profile from a private website catering to furries, many of whom participate in or write about unusual sexual practices. So this website is called sofurry.com. It didn't say it in the article. I had to do a little digging to find the actual website that they were referring to. But it's not exclusively for people who have sexual interests in furries. It appears to be open to furry community members of any type. So let me read the first thing that you see when you enter sofurry.com. This is like right on, when I went to the website, this is right on the front page. It's posted right at the top to make sure that you know what they're about. So Furry is the home for artists and fans of anthropomorphic arts. We believe that all types of furry creativity are precious, and the freedom of choice and the uniting power of our common interests. We believe in you. Come join us, share your artwork, animations, stories, and music with all of us. Enjoy the works shared by others, buy and sell commissions, and build your own community and groups with their own forum and chat. So, definitely not inherently sexual. And while the article doesn't explicitly state it, many readers are likely to assume that it's a site specifically for sexual expression. And even if it were, his membership on that site, I don't think would warrant him being forced out of public office. But there is one thing, something that would be difficult to explain as a politician. Okay. So on SoFurry, in your profile, you can select preferences on a number of different things. The choices mentioned in the news article are likes, loves, hates, and tolerates. So you get a list of things, and to kind of give people a better idea of who you are and what your interests are, you can pick likes, loves, hates, or tolerates on certain things. When it came to Chamberlain's stance on rape, he selected tolerates.
What?
Yeah. That was actually the thing that shamed him into resigning. Not because he was a furry, but because he selected tolerates.
Because he's a creep.
Well, it sounds...
I mean...
He fucked up, he knew it, he's like, oh, I'm done.
If you're going to have something that... Oh, God, I don't even know how to...
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, it brings me back to the title of the New York Post article. All it said was that his secret furry life was revealed. Literally, if he were on any website, anywhere, whether it was furry or not, and he put tolerates on rape, that would probably get him to, resign. Like, it has nothing to do with being a furry. It just... it infuriates me that they focused on the furry part and not on that. Now, I do want to go into more detail about this, and in fact, I've done a ton of digging on this, and I actually ended up stumbling on his little teaser for later on in our podcast today. Little teaser here. I stumbled on something that the news articles did not. So, says he tolerates rape. Obviously, this is a big issue politically, and it was cited by many as the reasons why he should resign. So, what do you think so far? We have further to go, but Chamberlain has suggested that his interest in the furry community is not sexual in nature, and that he never kept his furry fandom a secret, but now knowing that he tolerates rape, or that he at least selected tolerates as rape in his SoFurry profile, what do you think about that? Like, because one thing that crossed my mind is I wonder if the trend on that site, because I'm not familiar with that website, but I wonder if like the trend on that site is like, what if it's just like a non-con kind of thing? Like kind of a fetish. Like somebody would put up with a rape fantasy from somebody else.
With that, it's very much you have consent to begin with.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's
absolutely.
Very much a setup thing. If that's what he meant, I could understand it, but it just blatantly says rape, which is going to turn many heads. Uh, I just don't know. I feel like something like that was his profile on there? Was that like a public thing?
Yeah. So this I didn't really go into this part in my script, but I did read about this. Uh, he when being asked about it, so it is a public profile. Anybody who has a Furry profile can see it. Like you can't see it as just like a guest on the website. You actually have to make a profile.
Hmm.
And he thinks that one of his political enemies trying to dig up dirt on him. Uh, they made a fake profile and then found his, and then because he wasn't secret about being a furry, and his persona name, which we'll get into later, his persona name, which I'll just mention his persona name here in a second, but like people knew his persona name, and so like they were able to find him very easily if they wanted to, and so he thinks that one of his political enemies made a fake profile and dug into his profile and then found that and then made it public to kind of ouster him. But so as you can see from the picture of him, he's an older guy with gray hair and everything. And at that time, his persona, the only persona that I know of that he had at that time was named Gray Muzzle. And I just want to say, regardless of what kind of person Chamberlain actually is, that is a fucking adorable name. Like that's so cute. Gray Muzzle.
In the fandom, it's actually a term in the fandom.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a term for any fursuiter or anyone in the fandom who is older. The fandom kind of has I've noticed personally, a lot of the times, any furry over the age of 35, people act like is a gray muzzle, and just kind of giving people crap. It's kind of like with the gay community where, oh, you're over 30, you're old.
Oh, God, yeah. But it's a cute name though. Like I mean, like to go by it, to be called that. It sounds almost like a pejorative, like to call people that. But like to go by it, like that's a cute name. I was when I read that he called his persona Gray Muzzle, I was like, that is actually kind of adorable, And it also when I first heard it, it gave me the impression that he's not trying to act younger than he is to exploit younger people, which a lot of times when you find these older people who are getting into fandoms that didn't exist when they were younger are just trying to weasel their way into the younger crowd for nefarious reasons. It gave me the impression that he's owning the fact that he's an older person. And I appreciated that when I read that part. But yeah, no, Gray Muzzle. I thought that was cute as fuck. As soon as I read that, I'm like, Gray Muzzle, that's adorable. Because he's an old doggo or something, and just started to go gray. His fur started to go gray. So we talked about how not everybody in the furry fandom treats furry fandom as a sexual thing. Some do, but it's not whether it's the rule or the exception doesn't really matter. As somebody who's not a furry, I can't speak to it directly, but I do find it an interesting study. I do find this to be an interesting study that was done on the furry community. This is a very long and thorough study, but I'm just going to read a tiny little part that I found interesting. This is a study, an essay from a person named Clayton Richards, and first I want to read a disclaimer that he included in the study. Just for the sake that the writer wanted this to be covered before any conclusions are attempted to be made or drawn from the study. It says, disclaimer, all results from this survey are for research and entertainment purposes only, whilst they can be used as a general guide for what most members in the furry fandom think and agree on. They should not be used for acts of gatekeeping, shaming, bullying, ostracization, or any of similar nature. So I just wanted to read that because the writer found it important to include that, and I think it would be unfair to the person who conducted the study for me not to include it in this podcast. So this is the part of the study that I found really interesting. They did a survey of a whole lot of furries and kind of asked them basic questions like, why they had become part of the study, or why they had become not part of the study, but part of the fandom, and different things like that, like what their interests were and what made them interested in becoming a furry in the first place. Okay, so these are some of the results. This is called other highlights because these are the results that were on the lower end of reasons that people reported. Not like the primary reasons why people became part of the furry fandom.
Right.
On the lower end of the chart, there are 3 categories I want to highlight. So I'm sorry, this I should say quote before I say this. This is an exact quote from the study.
Okay.
Quote, on the lower end of the chart, these are 3 categories I want to highlight. Firstly, 2 people specifically said that the third reason they took up fursuiting is because of peer pressure. Secondly, in hindsight, it's rather surprising that there are only 7 votes for hugging or being petted. And thirdly, it is intriguing that, quote, sexual pleasure or expression only got 8 votes, coming in 21st overall. It is likely that the proportion of people who said personal expression would have intended that in a sexual way, despite not specifying it. However, I do think it goes to show that fursuiters perhaps are not as sex obsessed as some of the news articles may like to exaggerate. And this was from the people who explicitly said that one of their top reasons for joining the fandom was for sexual reasons. It only got 8 votes, and the sample size was 300 fursuiters. So it's like, it's not just a purely sexual thing. So I just want to emphasize again that there's nothing wrong with people who are interested in the furry community for sexual reasons. And even those who have a sexual interest in it, that's not necessarily their primary reason for being a part of the community. I go to gaming and anime conventions every year, and I rarely miss a furry panel at those conventions. There is a sense of passion, camaraderie that you don't get everywhere. So the appeal of being a part of this it's infectious. So even if Chamberlain marked tolerates on something as unpleasant and sexual as rape, doesn't mean that his furry life has anything to do with sexuality. And it doesn't mean that the furry fandom has anything to do with tolerating rape, But he could be being honest, at least about the fact that his interest in furries is not sexual. Now, as I said, I did make a bit of a discovery, something that I didn't see in any of the news articles, and that is that I found Chamberlain's Twitter account. Something that none of the news articles, and I read a lot of them, and I've read ones that were highly critical of him, ones that try to be as thorough as possible. None of them found this furry account, or this Twitter account. And at first I thought it was a fake. So like this meme had made its rounds, and it's a situation's ripe for troll bait. So I was ready for it to be some snare of some kind. But this story went viral in 2017, 2018 roughly. But I found this post from 2015, and I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
This is a post from the account that claims to be Chamberlain. So, that post there is from November 29th, 2015. And it has a picture of Chamberlain with the mayor, and it says, new councilman and new mayor.
There you have it.
So this is definitely his account. It is absolutely his account. But like, so on the left you have Chamberlain. So just to describe to viewers, it's just the picture that had been photoshopped. They had taken Chamberlain out of this picture and photoshopped him at the Furry Parade. And on the left you have Chamberlain. On the right you have Mayor David Gronbach, who was the mayor at that time. But like, this is absolutely his account, and he is actually not shy at all about being a furry at any point. That I couldn't find any point where he was being shy about being furry or trying to hide it in any way. And I say more power to him in that regard. So I'm going to send you another image here. And this is to kind of show that he was not shy about being a furry. Whether like even, whereas the headline would suggest that it was a secret the whole time and then suddenly people found out. This kind of proves, this is from 2017 and this was before, this was earlier in 2017. This was before this news article kind of made its rounds. And it's got a picture of him and it says, happy Fursuit Friday, me with my fursuit maker, Sarah Cat, at Furpocalypse. God damn it.
Furpocalypse. Yep, and it has his name in the title, like as his on Twitter, how you can choose your but you can choose what your name on there is. He's got his
full name. Yeah, he's got his full name there. He's not shy of, he's not hiding it at all. Like, and so like the idea that somehow he people found out he's a furry and suddenly had to resign. Like, this is more further evidence to that not being the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, no one should have to hide the things that they love, not hide the hobbies. And good on him for just doing his thing and just, fursuiting and just doing his thing. Yeah. I think that's great. I think that's dope.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm all about it. I'm like, I like the fact that he's not shy about it. I do want to reread what Chamberlain said to the Danbury News Times before we move on. Chamberlain told the Danbury News Times that his hobby was wholesome. It has nothing to do with sex. It's an interest in cartoon animals. He cited his fondness of Mickey Mouse and Tony the Tiger as examples of why it's a wholesome, non-sexual interest. But exploring his Twitter, it revealed some things to me.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna send some more images to you.
Do I want to open these?
Yeah, you do. You're gonna have to. You agreed to be my guest. You just gotta put up with the torture. I mean, you know me well enough to know that I'm gonna put you through hell if you're gonna deal with me. I mean, that's just something everybody has to learn. It's important. Everybody learns this kind of thing. So the first one I'm going to send you, I kind of want you to explain to me what you're seeing here.
Oh, hi. Let's see. Oh, no. Okay. So I have to, in order to explain this image, I need to give context. So for those of you who are listening, because you can't watch a podcast unless it's filmed, for those of you listening, when it comes to fursuit, you can get them made two different ways. You can have your tail sewn to the bodysuit of your fursuit, or you can have your tail have belt loops on it, and then you just put a belt through and wear it on the inside so your tail stays part of you. That's mainly as a way for you to be able to do what's called partialing. So if you wanted to wear, so that way you could wear rather your whole fursuit with your bodysuit, your tail, and everything, or if you wanted to partial, in which you're just wearing like your normal clothes, you could just string your tail onto that belt loop and still wear your tail, wear your head, and go about your merry way. This is a post from someone on the twitter.com who took a selfie in the mirror. He forgot his tail at a convention. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I read it wrong. He is demonstrating how he'd be screwed if he leaves his tail at home or at a con, because if you don't have your tail in, if you don't have it in on your fursuit, then it's just an open hole that sits in the crevice above your butt and the small of your back. So it's a little spicy. And Mr. Chamberlain is responding to that, saying, I don't even want to know how that tail is attached. So that's fun.
Yeah. So like, and the thing is, like, this is just a playful exchange, essentially. It's like it doesn't necessarily have to be sexual, although the implications, or I guess the what's being implied is it could be, almost like like you have it attached to like a butt plug or something like that. I mean, at least that's the impression I got from his joke. But again, it's just a joke. That doesn't really explicitly show that he finds a sexual interest in the furry fandom. That doesn't mean anything essentially on its own. But yeah, no, and I want to say first off, that explanation about the way tails are attached to fursuits, I had no freaking idea about, and that's exactly the reason I wanted you to be in this podcast, because you can explain to me stuff I had no idea about, and I appreciate it. So I am going to send you another image.
Oh God.
And there was a response from Chamberlain on this one as well.
Okay, so in this image, let me sit down. Let's see. So in this image,
you might want to sit down for it.
It is a fursuiter who is wearing a kind of like a schoolgirl outfit, and they are lifting the skirt to reveal that they're wearing a matching pair of underwear over their fursuit, but it's underneath the skirt. So like the way you would normally get dressed. So like panties, and then you have your skirt, blah, blah, blah. So they're wearing the panties over their fursuit and wearing the skirt over their fursuit. And they're lifting the skirt and showing the matching panties that match the skirt. And their caption says, they said I'm well coordinated. And they got a lot of likes, a lot of retweets, a lot of comments. Good for them. Their fursuit looks stunning, by the way.
Oh, it really does, yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Chamberlain is responding to that, saying, so cute and fashionable.
All right. So, I mean,
he's interacting. He's doing what most furries do, interacting with other people in the fandom. And, yep, that's it.
Yeah, no, it just says, so, like, obviously there is some sort of provocative style to the photo and the pose that's being done. Showing off panties underneath the skirt, that kind of thing. But Chamberlain's response is not necessarily a sexual thing. So that was the second post that I came across that I just thought, well, maybe I'll take a screenshot of it. Just kind of, because, if anybody stumbles across Chamberlain's post, this is going to be something that's going to be brought up for sure. Because it is sort of an edgy, steamy sort of image that he did respond to, but his response was not necessarily sexual in nature. So I found so I'm going to send you another photo. Me giggling gives it away. But anyway,
I can't wait to see this one.
I'll send you another photo that I stumbled across. Or a photo, I'd say photo, a screenshot of something I found. And these are not things that Chamberlain like retweeted or whatever, to be on his regular timeline. I was looking at his replies and some of his likes to find some of this stuff.
Okay.
So here's one for you, and I kind of want you to explain what you're seeing.
Okay, so this one, it is not a fursuit, it is artwork, and it's of a girl, someone's persona, wearing very elaborate clothing, not so much sexual, just very out of the box, Uh, and it looks like she's. What is that a phone?
That's what I thought. Maybe an old phone, like an old like corded phone.
I want to say it's a phone. I have a feeling it's not a phone. And on the phone, it's taken like a Snapchat photo where you have the caption wherever, and the caption's like, "I have a present for you." And her caption on the photo says, "Would you accept?" And Mr. Chamberlain responds saying, "So totally, yes." So he's doing what all furries do, and he's replying back to a photo that he finds attractive and is I don't want to say simping for it, but he's simping for it.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's totally simping for this photo, and it like the outfit is pretty like skimpy and kind of it's showing a lot of like cleavage and everything, and it's got a kind of really like sort of sexy looking persona here, um and yeah, the so totally yes, that is 100% simp mentality being displayed there.
Absolutely.
You nailed it, like when you said that. But
Not to say
again,
that that's a bad thing.
but again, hold on. I mean, that doesn't mean he's sexually interested in the furry fandom. He's just saying yes. Maybe he wants to be friends with her.
A lot of the times, furries will interact. That's kind of like how people interact, like when you comment on people's like pictures and stuff on like Facebook or Instagram. It's very much like interacting in that front, whether it be flirty or not. Sometimes there is a sexual I can't say that word. There is a sexual undertone to it. Sometimes there isn't. But I mean, this is how kind of people flirt anyway.
Yeah, no, well, yes, true. Like, that might even, yeah, that he might know the person and find that person attractive, whatever. I'm just addressing the thing that he said about not finding not having a sexual interest in the furry fandom. So I'm gonna send you another image here.
By the looks of it, Um, okay, yep, I know exactly how to explain it. So, a lot of the times with fursuit makers, after they've created a fursuit, they will have a little photo shoot of the character, and the fursuit maker, the studio, they will post photos that they're considered promo photos, I guess you could say. They will post pictures of the character and kind of announce and show off their newest creation because it helps bring people interested. It helps bring in customers who might be interested in commissioning them for a future fursuit. And it's a good way to keep track of your portfolio and show people your work. So this is a fursuit maker who posted a picture of a fursuit that they seem to have just finished that's going to be at a con. And Mr. Chamberlain said, "Hot Foxy."
Yeah, yeah. So, and first off, I want to say this is a really good looking fursuit. I love the
Oh,
colors. I love the design of it.
yeah, the
Um,
colors are great. Looking at it, it has removable eyelids for those of you who aren't familiar with fursuits and how they work. A lot of you can add a bunch of different accessories to really make your fursuit expressive. And one of those is adding magnetic eyelids to the suit, where you add magnets into the base and then into the eyelids. And then you can pop them on and off of the fursuit and change the expression to make it
whoa,
flirty, to make it funny, sleepy, tired, like different ways.
I
So, and
didn't
looking
know.
at one of these photos, it looks like they do come with that.
I didn't know that. That makes this fursuit so much cooler than I realized.
I thought I
Um,
showed you mine.
no, I mean, I didn't know that about like I wasn't able to identify that like in this fursuit. I remember you did show me that you had the different expression eyelids that you could add and remove uh from the green dog. You know, as a green dog, you want to be
That
able
was
to
me.
express yourself, and I do remember you showing me that you could change the expressions, and I think that's amazing. I didn't notice that about this fursuit because like I don't have a keen eye for that, but that makes this fursuit so much cooler. I
Yep.
love.
Look in the top left image, and then in the one next to it, you can see on the right, you can see how those ones have eyelids, and then the bottom two don't. So that's how.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But what we should be focusing on is the subject of our meme, Scott Chamberlain. who has responded with the phrase "hot foxy." That would be an odd response for somebody who doesn't find any sort of sexual interest in the furry fandom. But again, he could just be saying that just to be expressive about, you know, how hot the suit turned out. Like that's like, it's like that's cool, you know, like that's hot. Like, you know, somebody did a good damn job on that. That could be what he means. I'm gonna send you another image.
Okay, I'm ready. I cannot wait to see what it is based on your laughing.
So I want you to explain this one to us.
Let's see. Oh, I am in love with this. Okay, so
Yeah.
the caption for the photo is "When people think I'm cute, small, and innocent," and then it's a picture of them on their bed. They have their fursuit head on, their hand paws. They have their jacket open, and they have like pasties on, and I think they're wearing underwear. I don't know. Either way, they're
quick.
covered up very well. They're covered up only enough to give you a tease, but they look stunning.
Yeah.
And Chamberlain commented, responding to that, saying 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So here he's not being, and with these other posts, it's pretty common seeing these responses, not just in the furry fandom, but everywhere, of people flirting back or giving compliments out and blah, blah, blah. So it's very clear, but like with these specific ones, and especially being that this account is his fursuiting account and his furry fandom account, he is not being shy about who he's interacting with, and not being shy that he is a furry and that he affiliates with furries.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And in this case, I will say a couple of things about this one. So just like for clarification, for anybody who doesn't know what pasties are, pasties are to cover up nipples, essentially. It's kind of like when you see like booby tassels, or like a fun type of pasty sort of thing. But and like if you go to a lot of conventions will have a burlesque show, and even though they do sort of strip down to be very skimpy, nipples will usually be covered with pasties, and that is, I get, like, because somehow nipples are bad. I don't know. Anyway, but the person who posted it, they essentially have covered up their nipples, and it's difficult to say. They're definitely wearing underwear. It's just, it's skin colored. It's very similar to skin colored underwear. It's like a light pink color. But I think that color was chosen intentionally to show like almost like a nude look, you know, which is the same thing with like ballerinas with the nude colored stockings and whatnot. But so like she says Suki Lolita, which I have my issues with the term Lolita, just because it like the whole lolly search, the intention is to find when people search for that, the intention is often to find women who look underage, at least look underage, and I find that a little bit gross. Not that I don't want to insult Suki Lolita for that at all. I mean, I don't know if they mean it in that way or not. But they're like, just to address it in case anybody brings it up. It actually was flagged as a warning if it were searched on like Google. So like, say if you looked for like lolly porn or whatever, it was flagged on Google as saying like, you know, just to let you know, child pornography is illegal, and it would cite like legal, like the actual law, the actual state or federal law that addressed child pornography. So that's how adjacent it was to child pornography. Not that that term is always used that way, but just to address the people who only understand it in that way, I just wanted to bring that up. But that doesn't mean that that's what Suki Lolita is meaning in this, and in fact, it almost certainly isn't. And then, but Chamberlain's response is 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And what he means is that this person is cute and small, but maybe not innocent. So that does sort of like, he is just, it's an innocent interaction, essentially. It is a little weird to me because like this person in the photo is probably pretty young and he looks like he's at least in his 50s. And that does creep me out to some degree. But at the same time, he's not being gross, you know. I don't think he's crossing a line, essentially. But it does sort of lend some credence to the fact that he probably does have some sexual interest in the furry community, whereas what he had told the News Times was that his interest in it had nothing to do with sexuality. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with him having a sexual interest in the furry community. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. It's literally not hurting anybody. But he was not totally honest about that, and that will bring us, once I send you one more photo, that will bring us to the next part that I want to discuss. So could you explain to me what this post looks like?
Okay, so it is a fursuiter who is in a latex bodysuit. They have their fursuit head on, they have a black bodysuit on, and they have a red harness on with a body harness. So it has intricate like straps and everything going around their chest, their thighs, their waist, and with it they have a strap on. And they're saying how you're in danger, and Chamberlain responded saying, "Of the nicest kind." So it's very clear at this point he has an interest in the sides of the fandom that are and are not sexual, being that he's responded to people on comments that are like very much safe for work, very much cute or like love it or etc. But he's also responding to these posts like these that are more on the not safe for work side, that are more lewd and intricate, like this one, and then the other ones. So he's not hiding it. He's not hiding it, and he shouldn't have.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I'll get to that in a moment, like about the not just his interest in the furry fandom, but like his sexual interest in the furry fandom. Like so it is without a doubt that Chamberlain does in fact have a sexual interest in the furry fandom. And there's nothing wrong with that. Humanoid animal fantasies are not uncommon, and a preference for that is not hurting anyone. Obviously, zoophilia is an issue because animals are not consenting beings. But these anthropomorphic characters are, in the posts and scenarios involved, they are represented as consenting beings. Like it's not like trying to have sex with an animal, you know, like that is a completely different thing. So again, nothing wrong with that. The place where the line was drawn, and what actually led to Chamberlain's resignation was the fact that he marked tolerate on rape. In my opinion, I doubt that he means he personally thinks that real life rape is okay. And especially with the last comment, it is possible that he means he would tolerate in a fantasy where he's the bottom potentially being pegged. And I mean that's really what it implies. So if that's the case, I don't see anything wrong with it, because there's at least colloquially there's a difference between rape and using what would be called non-con. You know, like non-con is like, it's like a rape fantasy, but you always have an actual consent involved with that, but like
Right.
it's a fantasy, and that's why, you know, like when we have like dominatrixes and things like that, we have safe words and whatnot. So like the fact that he was unwillingly and politically speaking unable to be um honest about honest and open about his sexuality, that might have been what led to the misunderstanding in the first place. If he could have been more honest and open about his sexual interests, or at least been like, okay, once they're just adults in a room, let me explain where my sexual interests are. And like it just, the fact that he felt the need to hide it, I think exacerbated the whole, like, causing him to resign.
Mhm.
I mean, especially like at least in the sense that he couldn't, there was no way as a politician that he could have verbalized in a way that could have explained to people like, I don't actually want people to be raped. I don't actually tolerate that. My furry fandom does in fact have some sexual interest. And when it comes to quote tolerating rape, what I mean is a fantasy of my own, and being, you know, being on the receiving end, or if somebody else wants that, I guess I'll tolerate that. But you know, it's like that was, if he could have gone into those nuances, if the world were, you know, more prepared to accept or to receive messages like that, he wouldn't have had to hide everything, almost everything. He was honest about his furry fandom, but he wouldn't have had to hide so many of these like innocuous things that ended up making him look worse than he actually probably is. Do you know what I mean?
No, I get it.
Yeah, I know I didn't word that greatly. I was kind of all over the place,
I know
but
what you were trying to say though.
yeah, I don't. I kind of, it's because I'm trying to make like 6 points at once, but like it's just I don't know. I just don't. I think that the fact that people do misunderstand each other and they can't wait to misunderstand each other because they make enemies out of each other, especially politically, that they don't want to even take the time to listen and to understand the nuances in it. They just want to grasp onto what sounds the worst and demonize human beings. And I think that Chamberlain is almost certainly a victim of this. Uh, well, I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And I do think I do get a little, I don't know, I get a little cringy when older people get 40 with super young people. Like, you know, even if they are of age, it still occasionally gets me a little, it gives me the little bit of like just a little bit of heebies, but like, I don't think he's done anything wrong, you know? And plus, even when he's being friendly, he's really, or wait, I'm sorry, even when he's being 40, he's super friendly about it, you know?
Mhm.
He doesn't seem to be pushing things too far. Like, and he's approaching in like a jovial sort of way. So like in his case, I don't want to demonize that too much. But anyway, what do you think? Like, what do you think about Chamberlain and what we like? I mean, I dug way deeper than any of the news articles did, and
Mhm.
still I don't obviously know a lot about him personally. I almost wanted to interview him for this podcast to see if I can get like a little sound clip from him, but I didn't want him to think that I was trying to dig up something that he's trying to forget. But so I didn't go about that. I might still try, but at least we have a podcast in the bag that doesn't involve him. But like, what do you think? What do you think about him and the way he's behaved and his relationship to the furry fandom?
I mean, like I said, I don't know the ins and outs, the extremely specific stuff. Of what I've seen from his comments that you sent me, these seem like very typical furry fandom, as well as typical just online behavior. Whether whether flirty or not, it just seems like he's just interacting. He's just talking to people in the fandom.
Yeah, and he's being really nice, and he's giving like very positive comments. And even if he is, I mean, I picked out these. I scrolled through everything that he's ever responded to or liked, and I picked
Mhm.
out the worst ones I could find, and still he's being a nice guy. Like in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I think he's been pretty cordial.
Yeah, I mean, it seems innocuous to me. I don't. If I were to be on So Furry, though, I probably would have put hate on rape. um, if it were listed as non-con, then I obviously like that would be a different thing. Um, but like literal rape, I would have put hate on. At least even if my response to the prompt rape were to be in a purely fantasy context, just to protect my own image, I would still hit hate just in case anybody else stumbled across that, you know?
Yeah,
But like if the term non-con were used instead, that would be totally different. So there is still something to scrutinize and to kind of raise an eyebrow at with that whole clicking tolerate on rape, but I do not think that he meant it in that way. You know, I don't think he meant it as
right,
in that he thinks rape is okay.
right.
But it's hard to know either way, because obviously it's probably not something that he wants to speak out about now. He's probably hoping the whole controversy is behind him. But it is something that unfortunately, as a politician, things stick with you forever. You're not Teflon when you're a politician unless you're fucking Trump. If you're Trump, then you could literally rape somebody
Oh, I'm
in the
so
middle of Times
sorry.
Square and yeah, and everything's fine. But anyway, wait. Why are you sorry? Are you sorry because you voted for Trump?
I did not vote for Trump. Take that back. That is the worst thing anyone could ever say about me. No, I said if you when you were saying if you are Trump, you can do this. If you are Trump, and you were saying if you are Trump, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. If you're Trump, I'd be sorry.
Oh yeah, no, and like the thing is, like he's probably the one politician who is Teflon, who is actually Teflon, but but like if you're a politician in general, things like that are going to stick, and unfortunately, regardless of how Chamberlain meant it, that's going to stick with him. It's going to be part of his life, and it's going to affect his political career if he even tries to continue to have one. Um, but I don't think that. But the point is, regarding this meme, it's not that this meme completely lied about something. I just wanted to address it in the sense that it wasn't just him being a furry that caused him to resign. And I don't want anybody in the furry fandom to think that they shouldn't, apply themselves to a political position that they might be really, really well suited for just because they happen to be part of the furry fandom.
Right.
And that's the reason why I wanted to address this meme. So, any closing thoughts?
Mm, I'm gonna have some really good pasta after this.
You and Bobby give me nothing sometimes at the end of these episodes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just want to know some closing thoughts, like what's some input that you want to have based on this subject. You know,
It's kind of a compliment that we don't have anything because it just means you covered everything. You got it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'd say any like closing stuff, in terms of this guy, it just seems like everyone gave him crap for being a furry because everyone is under the idea of furry equals cringe, and yeah, but
and yeah, but No, I don't think
I mean, the
furries
community isn't
cringe
as
at
bad
all.
as
I
people
honestly,
think.
I'm always
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
impressed by furries most of the time.
you haven't talked to all of us yet.
Well, I've
Give it
talked
a
to
minute. No,
you, and
that's your fault. That's your fault, though. But if you no,
That's a lot of ground covered.
no, in seriousness, based on his communication with other furries, I don't think it's necessarily been completely inappropriate. It just seems like typical internet banter with
yeah,
his comments. But I mean, I feel like people should really dig more into all the good that the fandom does
yeah,
before immediately calling it cringe or disgusting or weird. And like I said earlier, if you want to try to bully furries by saying things like fatherless, KYS, hunting season, stuff like that, literally doesn't work. Heard it
yeah,
all, been
yeah.
there, done that. All you're going to do is make more of us show up on your feed. So thanks.
Hell yeah, yes, yeah. I love that. All right, I want to thank you so much for being part of this. I know I said it would be shorter, and we went 3 times as long as I said it might go. Um, but no, this was good. This was really good, and I really appreciate your input, and I think that you've provided a lot to this episode that I would not have been able to provide myself. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Now, if you'd excuse me, I'm going to have some good chicken Alfredo pasta. Thank you.
That sounds awesome. All right, see you later. Bye.
I think he's gone already.
Bye.
Oh yeah, good. Oh yeah, goodbye.
Oh, okay.
Bye. Bye. Okay, goodbye.